When he discovers that Lucifer is planning to become ruler of the earth, a young vampire and his friends unite to stop him from turning all magical creatures into soldiers of darkness. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, The Magic Kids, from 2020. Thousands of years ago, the planet was ruled by vampires, werewolves, witches and countless other creatures of the night who spread terror throughout the world. Over the centuries, these evil creatures got tired of scaring people and decided to become members of society. Now, many of them live among humans in disguise, while others have moved to secret places that can only be found through magical forests. Vlad Tepes and his father are two vampires who left their home in the human world to move to Keldon. Invited personally by the town's mayor, the boy has the opportunity to attend an elite school famous among magical creatures. However, Vlad and Barnabas don't even suspect that they have become part of a diabolical plan to plunge the world back into darkness. After a long journey through the forest, father and son finally reach their destination and are met by a dark troll. After identifying themselves, they are allowed to cross the bridge and enter Keldon. While driving through the streets, Barnabas gets distracted by the beauty of the city and ends up hitting a cyclist. Immediately, the man gets out of the car to help him up and Vlad accidentally turns Schnapphoff's hat into a helmet that was worn by policemen dozens of years ago. It seems that the boy still has no control over his powers, so after checking that the cyclist is okay, the officer allows the outsiders to go on their way. Minutes later, they arrive at their new home and the boy is disappointed to discover that he will be living in a place that is falling apart. However, nothing terrifies him more than the idea that he will soon be entering a new school where he will have to become friends with magical creatures. His mother, Julia, perished when Vlad was still a baby, so his father always keeps a photo of her next to his bed. On his first night in his new home, Barnabas receives a visit from an emissary and is informed of all the fees he will have to pay to stay in the city. So he has to stay up all night to sort out these tax issues once and for all and takes a break only to take Vlad to his first day of school. When he arrives at school, the young vampire meets Wolf and the nerdy boy says he's very excited to start his studies. After dropping his son off at Riffraff Academy, Barnabas goes to the town hall to talk about the abusive amount of taxes being charged. Miss Sursemeyer then explains that these are the standard fees that all new residents of Keldon have to pay when they move to the city. As a suggestion to pay off his debt, she advises Barnabas to sell a precious stone that has belonged to his family for generations and is now with his son. Just then, the mayor appears and says that he is willing to pay a lot of money for the blood fragment. However, Barnabas reveals that the crystal belongs to Vlad and he would never sell it, as it was a gift from his late mother. Realizing that the man is not open to negotiation, the mayor says that they will find another way to pay those taxes and Barnabas returns to the Riffraff Academy. When all the students gather with their families in the amphitheater, Vlad waits for his father to arrive, as he promised he would return before the initiation ceremony. As he walks through the corridors, he meets Hanapple and the janitor advises him to go up to the auditorium so as not to miss the welcoming ritual. After a short speech, Principal Penner invites the new students up on stage and, during the initiation ceremony, Barnabas appears. The woman then uses the magic words written in a book of spells to stimulate the powers of these young people and they all express their true abilities. When Vlad's teeth start to grow and he takes on the appearance of a real vampire, Faye loses control of her wings and ends up falling on him. Immediately, his father goes to help him up and the boy vomits blue goo because he was sickened by the sight of his own blood. Ashamed of what has happened, Vlad returns home and says that he will become the laughing stock of his colleagues, because he is the only vampire in the world who can't stand the sight of blood. Meanwhile, Wolf's parents discover that their son is allergic to fur and every time he turns into a werewolf, he starts sneezing. As the leader of a pack, Horst is furious at this news and throws the doctor out of his house. However, Faye is the one who is suffering the most from everything that has happened, as there are several memes of her fall circulating on the internet. That night, Barnabas is in his house when he hears a noise coming from outside. What he doesn't realize is that he has just been visited by a witch. Immediately, the vampire rushes to his son's room to check that Vlad is all right and closes the window on Sursemeyer's fingers, who is trying to break into the house to steal the blood fragment. Then, when Barnabas leaves the room, she continues her plan and stretches out her arm until she manages to steal the necklace from the boy's bedside table. The witch then takes the crystal to the mayor and, when he picks it up, it disappears because it is under the effect of a spell that makes it always return to its true owner. Therefore, the fragment can only change ownership if the current owner gives it up willingly. The next morning, when he arrives at school, Vlad discovers that the jokes about what happened at the initiation ceremony have only just begun. Faye's videos continue to circulate on the internet and Michael appears with his body covered in ketchup so that Vlad thinks he is bleeding. On seeing him, the young vampire vomits again and becomes a laughing stock once more, which makes Hanapple furious. Determined to return to the human world, Vlad walks into the forest with the intention of fleeing the city and meets Faye. Wolf then appears and says that he plans to venture out into the world to prove to his father that he is a true wolfman. Together, the three youngsters decide to cross the magical forest and are followed by a mysterious creature. Suddenly, the troll appears and says that they can't leave until they fulfill what is written in the Book of Prophecies. Even after hearing that they are destined to save the city of Kreilsfelden, the children insist on leaving. Then the Guardian becomes furious and increases in size to prevent them from passing. Just then, Hanapple appears and orders the giant to leave the young people alone. He then tries to use a spell against the creature, but his magic doesn't work as expected and the troll is furious when it realizes that he is dressed as a princess. He immediately sets out to get revenge on the sorcerer, but Hanapple throws a handful of salt in his eyes and buys him time to escape with the children. That night, the man takes the trio to his house and tries to find out why they want to leave town. The wizard claims that the Guardian only pays attention to who enters Kreilsfelden, but anyone can leave the city without passing through him. Then Faye asks why the troll stopped them from leaving and Hanapple goes to look up the reason in one of the books on his shelf. However, after reading a few pages, the man becomes terrified and tries to change the subject. The wizard offers the children more hot chocolate and, while he's in the kitchen, Faye opens the book and the trio discover that the prophecy is true. After another cup of hot chocolate, they leave and try to cross the forest once more. On the way, Faye uses her elven powder to bring a flower to life and Vlad is impressed by the girl's powers. He says that he was raised among humans and didn't even know he was a vampire until he was 4. When asked about his mother, the young man reveals that she perished in an accident and the blood fragment is the only gift he has from her. The next morning, they break into the school's forbidden library and soon discover that the place is guarded by a ferocious wolf. In an attempt to calm the animal down, Wolf offers him his lunch and manages to distract him so that his friends can get through the tunnel. After a few minutes of walking, they reach a chasm and Vlad suggests that the elf use her wings to reach the other side. However, Faye is terrified of heights, so Vlad uses his bat radar to identify where the invisible pillars that form a bridge are. After crossing it, the pair finally reach the forbidden library and Faye gathers the courage to use her wings to reach the Book of Knowledge, which is a few shelves up. After getting the book, they meet Wolf and the trio have to flee from the ferocious wolf, as the snacks that kept him calm have run out. That afternoon, Barnabas is visited by Cersemyr and the witch uses a potion to put a spell on the vampire in order to convince his son to sell the fragment. At that moment, Cersemyr discovers that the boy is missing and rushes to pass the information on to the mayor. Furious, he orders the witch to find Vlad and she uses her mirror to locate him. Seeing that the boy has the Book of Knowledge in his hands, the mayor despairs and breaks the mirror. Opening the book, Vlad and his friends see the pages moving by themselves until they stop at exactly the information they are looking for. At this point, the trio discovers that after the creatures of the night became peaceful, Lucifer began working towards a single goal: to make them evil again. The Dark Prince then set an exact date for his army of darkness to begin acting, but this information was lost because someone ripped out one of the pages of the book. Meanwhile, in his mansion, the mayor is thinking of a strategy to recover that book and claims that, several centuries ago, he took steps to ensure that no one would find it. However, his plan failed and now Cersemyr must act to prevent the children from sharing their discovery with their parents. The witch then uses a reverse curse to make everything the youngsters say the exact opposite of what they want to say and Vlad is unable to break the news to his father. Under the witch's spell, Barnabas tries to persuade him to sell the blood fragment, so the boy runs to his room because he can't refuse the offer. Immediately, he calls his friends and discovers that the same thing happened when they tried to tell their parents about Lucifer's plan. So the trio must investigate on their own what this cruel enemy is up to and arrange to meet the next morning. After waking up, Vlad brushes his teeth to go to school and begins to remember some of the information he has gathered since the moment he came across the troll in the forest. Then, when he meets his friends, they come to the conclusion that the mayor intends to use the blood fragment to turn the creatures evil again. However, Faye says that in order to cast such a powerful spell, Lucifer would need to use something to enhance the power of that little crystal. So the children decide to go to the town hall to investigate. While Wolf and Faye distract Schnappoff, Vlad breaks into the building and spots a zombie walking down the corridor. After losing him, the boy continues walking and realizes that his fragment is being drawn to the tower. When he reaches the top, he finds a huge crystal and realizes that his necklace is just a small fragment of that great stone. Just then, Cersemyr's computer is turned into a typewriter and she realizes that a time spell has been conjured up, so she rushes off to tell her boss. When he realizes that his fragment is about to join the crystal, Vlad pulls it back and decides to leave. He quickly runs down the stairs and past the policeman. The boy then finds his friends and the three of them run far away from the town hall. When he arrives at a safe place, Vlad tells him that he has found a huge crystal, of which his fragment is a part. Faye then asks how her friend got that necklace and he tells her that the object has been in his mother's family for generations. From this information, Faye comes to the conclusion that Vlad's mother must have been a powerful sorceress, because crystals like that are only entrusted to special guardians capable of protecting them. When Meyer and the mayor arrive at the tower, it's too late, as Vlad has managed to escape and the witch says she can still smell the boy. At that moment, Lucifer laments the fact that he didn't get the last piece he needed to complete his crystal. Over the last 1,000 years, he has wandered the world and shed the blood of great magicians to obtain every fragment of that crystal. However, he feels frustrated when he realizes that he hasn't managed to grab the last piece from the hands of a pathetic child. While the trio are sitting in the town square, Wolf notices that Vlad's backpack has been affected by the time spell and Faye wonders if the book has also been altered. Immediately, Vlad goes to check the missing page and notices that, thanks to the magic of his crystal, the book is complete again. As he runs his fingers across the page, the young vampire notices that the ink on the drawings is fresh, as if the book had just been written. However, when he smells the book, Wolf says it's blood and Vlad vomits again. Meanwhile, his friends try to unravel the enigma of the book to find out how Lucifer plans to plunge the whole world into darkness. In a few hours' time, there will be a solar eclipse and the inhabitants of Keldon will be gathered for a festival, so the magic light from the crystal will reach everyone and Lucifer will begin his plan of domination. So Vlad decides to try to flee the city once again, as this is the only way to prevent the mayor from gaining access to the last fragment of the crystal. Seeing the boy leave, his friends say they will accompany him, but the vampire asks them to stay in Keldon and look after the locals. At this point, Faye and Wolf say goodbye to the boy and watch him cross the bridge. Suddenly, the Guardian appears again and says that if Vlad reaches the other side, he will never be able to return. Then, just as the boy was about to cross the bridge, Lucifer appears and captures Faye to force him to hand over the crystal. The man says that if Vlad wants to see his friend alive again, he will have to take the fragment to the town hall within an hour. Otherwise, the young elf will be eliminated. Determined to save Faye's life, the boy complies with his adversary's demands and Wolf accompanies him to the tower. Once there, the girl orders the pair to leave and begs Vlad not to give the fragment to Lucifer. However, the boy refuses to abandon her and gives his necklace to the mayor. Meanwhile, his father is at home with Meyer and realizes that something is wrong at City Hall. The man then uses a telescope to check what's going on and discovers that the mayor is using black magic against the townspeople. At that moment, he realizes that he has been bewitched by Meyer and begins a duel against the witch who deceived him. It's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon when the residents gather around the town hall to contemplate the eclipse and, at the moment when the moon overtakes the sun, Lucifer begins to create his army of darkness. He then joins the last fragment to the rest of the crystal and waits for the 13 chimes of the clock. However, before the ritual was complete, the fragment disappeared and appeared in Hanapple's house. At this point, Vlad explains that, before going to the tower, he gave his necklace to the school janitor and that's why Lucifer couldn't become the real owner. Furious at having been tricked, the wizard attacks the boy and then uses a bolt of lightning to throw Faye out of the tower. Seeing his friends in trouble, Wolf begins his transformation and becomes a true wolfman. He then throws Lucifer's staff away and hits him with all his might. After the attack, the Prince of Darkness loses part of his horn and tries to flee, but at that moment Wolf starts sneezing and loses his powers. Just then, Faye appears, having managed to use her wings to prevent her from falling. She immediately rushes to heal Vlad and manages to wake him up. Seeing Wolf in danger, the boy gets up and uses his super speed to pull his friend out of the danger zone. Soon after, Vlad positions himself in front of the crystal and taunts the mayor until he shoots in his direction. When this happens, the vampire moves away and the lightning strikes the crystal, which directs it back to Lucifer. At that moment, the villain's body turns to stone and then explodes. After getting rid of the witch, Barnabas runs to the tower and finds the children celebrating their victory. Now that the city and the entire magical world have been saved from Lucifer's eternal reign, the three young friends return home and Barnabas feels very proud of his son. When the quartet meets up with the other inhabitants to take part in the festival, Hanapple appears and returns the crystal to Vlad. After their heroic deed, the three friends decide to enjoy the rest of the day and walk happily through the streets of Keldon. Suddenly, Michael and his gang show up and start teasing them about what happened on the first day of school. However, now these provocations are no longer able to affect them, as Vlad, Faye and Wolf have managed to prove their worth to themselves. That night, when he returns home, The young vampire receives a surprise when a hologram of his mother is released from the fragment. The woman claims that her son is not safe in Keldon, because the night hunters are on their way and will not rest until they find him. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.